secondary sources and get to the root, get to what they feel history, and the source material actually tells us about Jesus. And it's a very good book, particularly in its portrayal of the Jewish people at that time. That's Paula Fredrickson's great field, and she does that very, very well. And the second question is, you wanted me to describe my writing process?
Your storytelling process here, how do you technique?
Boy. Well, it always starts with characters. I see the characters before I see the story. The characters are living the story. That's really the way my imagination works. And the characters, when I sort of go with them and start writing about them and living through them, they tell me the story. You know, I may start with the idea, say, of a werewolf. What is that like to be a werewolf? What if you were a conscious werewolf? You didn't lose your mind when you became a beast. You actually remained completely conscious. What would that be like? The story then unfolds for me. I find the story through the character. It always works that way. There are times when I sit down and write a rough outline or a roadmap for myself through the novel, but the novel really comes to be through surprises and stumbling and discoveries. And of course, today working on a computer, that the computer is the most perfect instrument for that type of writing there's ever been, since you can go back and forth through the novel and bring everything up to the moment of present illumination over and over again.
I just want to say I was at the Lestat Carnation Ball this Halloween. Thank you for doing that. It was amazing.
Oh, good.
And I wonder if you would talk a little bit about the mythology of the Taltos and what inspired you to weave that onto Celtic
Thank
history.
you. Well, the Taltos, I came across the word in a book on folklore. And I like that word, Taltos, and I borrowed it, basically. There wasn't a whole lot in the book about it. It's some sort of mythical creature that was believed in the Middle Ages. And I kind of removed it from the setting in the book and invented this group of people that lived up in the north in an island that was actually very warm and tropical almost. And they're a different species of human being, basically. Or they're not human, but they're a two-legged and anthropomorphic intelligent species that are like humans. And I had a great deal of fun developing that. And again, they're spontaneous, trusting to the subconscious, just exploring my own world is where it all came from. Of course, it started with the novel The Witching Hour. The witches were haunted. The witches were haunted by this strange person, Lasher, and it is the mystery of Lasher. The mystery of Lasher that led to the development of the Taltos.
Thank you.
Sure. I'm just trying to go into what you genetics and, well, the idea that your father wrote the imp story. You know that character, that he's not physical in the beginning. There's somebody swirling around. Yes, it's been a while since I read the witch books, but there is somebody, he's not physical yet.
Well, Lasher is a ghost.
Lasher, there we go.
He's trying to come true. He's
But
trying
then
to
it's
come
the
true.
ghost that's not physical with the physical. Yes, very interesting. Thank you for responding to your fans on Facebook, even though you have more than 1 million of them.
Thank you. I really profoundly grateful to my fans on Facebook. Thank you. Okay, I will look at it. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Hi, thank you for coming tonight. I have like a two-part question. The first would be, why did you, or have you published some of your novels under a pseudonym instead of just Anne Rice? The best that I can think of right now is like The Claiming of Sleeping Beauty. Did that first, maybe to see how the book would do without Anne Rice written across it?
No, I did it to be free. I did it to be behind that mask so that I would make it pure pornography. I couldn't be Anne Rice, from whom people expected a certain kind of novel. I had to be anonymous. Also, I didn't want my father to know. the novels were doing fine, and they were very popular, actually, and I was afraid somebody was going to tell my dad. So I told him, and I said, just don't buy them, you know. And he was very touched by my consideration, and then after that I put my name on them. Because also I thought I was finished with them at that time, and I didn't write a fourth or a fifth, there were just three, and I was plenty strong enough to take any reaction people had to them. It was the writing I had to protect, the writing process in the beginning, and the pseudonym had helped with that.
Okay, and my second question was, do you have plans now, or have you ever considered doing a story from Claudia's point of view?
No, I don't think I could do that. There is a graphic novel adaptation of Interview called Claudia's Story, but it's just based strictly on what's in Interview with the Vampire.
Okay, thank you very much.
Sure.
Good evening. First of all, I would like to thank you on behalf of me and my friends in Siberia for bringing Lestat into our lives.
Thank you.
It's been quite a life since we bonded when we were 14, and it's been wonderful to reconnect with him after having traveled to many of the places you wrote about in your books. My question relates to something you've touched upon in your conversation tonight, and that's the gender identity. I would say, first of all, why did you choose to write so much from a male perspective? What challenges did you face in writing from a male perspective, and how did you address them?
It wasn't challenging, it just seemed the natural way to do it. It seemed the easy and free way to do it, to write from a male point of view. It felt natural to me. I don't have a strong gender identity with women or men. I just don't think about gender, and I think that dealing with a female point of view put me too much in a world where gender matters and gender impinges. But this wasn't a conscious decision. I just sat down and wrote, and those characters were born, and they were males. And I think over the years I got more and more comfortable with writing from a female point of view. But it's still a bit confusing to me at times, especially when I think people are reacting to the female characters in ways that they do not react to the male characters. And I get a sense of unfairness and confusion. The male characters have an easier journey in this world than the female characters. There's no doubt about it.
Thank you.
Hello, Anne. First of all, thank you so much for coming to Miami Book Fair. And I wanted you to talk a little bit about how you're writing Louis' subconscious versus Lestat's point of view of being a vampire, and what was that like, you know, because he's sort of, in Interview, he's very much like, no, you are this species, you can no longer care about humanity and your food, where Louis still wants to have that love and affection for them. And what was that like, trying to morph Louis into a vampire that didn't necessarily care for humans anymore and saw us as food instead of as human beings?
Well, that was certainly the whole theme of Interview with the Vampire, was that struggle of Louis being so reluctant to give himself up to what Lestat wanted him to do. And he perceived Lestat strictly as a villain, really, and an antagonist, and wrote very... only at one point in the novel does he finally concede, I hated him for all the wrong reasons. You know, he realizes in Paris that he was never fair to Lestat, never really at all. And I ended the novel with some very vague notion that someday I wanted to tell Lestat's side of it.
Yeah.
That it would be fascinating to go into the side of someone who's presented in such black and white terms and see what his soul was about and his life was about. And I don't know any more about why I became Lestat after that instead of Louis, except that it happened. You know, 8 years had passed, and when I wrote The Vampire Lestat, I was Lestat. I mean, he was more me than Louis. And I had a very hard time ever bringing Louis back into The Vampire Chronicles. I had a hard time going back to that melancholy, passive character that I had once been.
Thank you.
I was going to say there
we really have got the signal that we have time for 3 more questions. There are 5 people standing there, so if you ask your questions quickly, meaning that they can be answered quickly, then everybody can get a turn.
I'll try to answer quickly too.
Hi there, it's wonderful to have you here, and I'm a big fan, and my question is actually stemmed from the conversations that you were having earlier. Did you get to visit the Bronte Parsonage?
Oh, I did. I did visit the Bronte Parsonage in Haworth, and I loved it. Absolutely loved it.
I've been there.
Great moment. It wasn't very long ago. It was about 3 years ago that I visited it and visited the town. And I'm going back to England next year, and I want to go back there and spend more time in Bronte country, really.
Wonderful. And what has been the shortest time for you to write a book and the longest? Like, how long has it taken you?
Well, the Vampire Lestat took the longest, and then it took over a year because I got blocked in the middle of it and couldn't go any further. But usually I write a book in about 6 to 8 weeks. And it's very, because I think it's very important to get it done in that period of time. There's a lot of preparation for it, a lot of note-taking, but when I sit down and commit to making it work, I want to make it work in that period of time. And if it goes too much longer than that, it starts to have real problems for me. But 6 to 8 weeks, sometimes now longer than that, maybe 10 weeks. But no more than 12 weeks, really. That, to me, is the best for uniformity of tone, uniformity of feeling, and a complete embrace of everything happening in the book. When it takes longer than that, then there are real problems of unevenness and incoherence and having to go back and so forth. So I really very much believe in that method for me, but I don't believe there are any rules for all authors. We all take what works.
Well, thank you very much. It's great seeing you.
Thank you.
Okay, I don't want to be stingy, but just please ask one question so everybody can get a chance.
Hi, Anne.
Who's online?
I just wanted to know, what was your inspiration for writing Exit to Eden? What was going through your mind?
For writing what?
Exit to Eden?
Oh, Exit to Eden. Well, it was, again, I wanted to write pornography. I wanted to write a really sexy S&M romance, and I wanted to create this club where everybody can go to act out their fantasies with perfect safety. I'm always in my erotica looking for a safe place for the people to be happy and do S&M. That's all.
Hi.